Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Setter Tales podcast. As you can see, we're on location at the beautiful Highland Hideaway Hunting in southern Iowa. We've been pheasant hunting. We're joined by the Kinetic team, our wonderful sponsor, Kinetic Performance Dog Food. We love it for yours and for ours, and you'll love it for yours. So I guess it's been a big day, Wade. We've couple days.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting couple days, I will say that. But no, we've had a lot of fun. This is an event that we've been planning for about a year, and it got moved back once, and so we were just hoping that, the weather in February in Iowa is a little bit unpredictable. But yeah, the Kinetic guys got into town a couple days ago, and we've been doing some filming in the field, and we'll talk about a little bit about that. But I just want to introduce who we're going to be talking to tonight. And we'll start over there on the far table at the end, and we have John Howard over there. He's one of the co-owners of Kinetic Performance Dog Food. And then in the middle, between the other owner over here, Dave Dorson, but in the middle, squeezed in the middle, is Carl Metzler with Unleashed. And that is a TV series that is really cool that the guys are doing, and it's a part of the Kinetic dog food family. And so they're here putting together some upland hunting footage for hopefully an episode that they'll get to put up sometime in the future for their series called Unleashed. And then, of course, Tomas, our co-host, who many of you have seen many times at the end. And then sitting here next to me, and this gentleman here has an interesting story. So, Tom Tassett, right? Safari Insurance Company.
That's right.
That's right. Is that Cincinnati or what?
It is, yeah.
Okay, Cincinnati, Ohio. He came a long way to show us his skills. But the story is, yeah, it's really cool. And I'll get Dave, we'll get in some more detail about the auction hunt and what this is all about, and really what brought us to Highland hunting here in the last couple of days. But Tom was here and had never hunted pheasants before.
No, I came here to take pictures.
Allegedly.
That's true.
So instead of picking up the camera, we put a shotgun in your hand,
much to my surprise.
Yeah, well, I remember the first day when you got here, we were kind of talking about what the dogs would be doing, kind of giving you a flavor for what you were going to see happen. And then we went into the field yesterday morning, and one of the gentlemen here was going to kind of show you the ropes and how that was going to go, and what happened. Can you kind of fill us in on what that went like?
They decided they didn't need me to take pictures, and that I should try my hand at shooting, and borrowed a gun from John.
Borrowed a gun.
Yeah.
Borrowed a vest.
Borrowed the vest.
Borrowed a
from
hat.
You, the lucky vest.
Borrowed a hat.
I came with the hat.
You came with the hat, okay.
Yeah.
And so so we had you outfitted, and for everybody that
Borrowed the shells too, by the way.
I want to say, we talk about Highland hunting here in beautiful Riverside, and in the last couple of days, I don't know if beautiful really kind of fits the bill, but it kind of rained or acted like it was going to rain, and it was cold. So the conditions were a little challenging, which for a new hunter, somebody that's trying out the wing shooting sports for the first time, we've kind of put you at a disadvantage. And so what happened? We had the pro. We had Dorson over there on my flank.
Well, I know the people on the right side were the good hunters, the experienced hunters.
Now, how did you know that? I mean, where did that information come from?
Talking ahead of time, they told me they were good hunters.
Okay.
So, and
we wouldn't lie.
And they said they told me I needed to just stay next to you.
Stay next to me. Okay.
That's what I did, and we went out and saw a couple of birds flush. And in the right side, took some shots, and no birds came down. So I really started getting nervous.
Yeah, there was a couple whiffs over there right away,
yeah.
right out of the chute. We had a couple. You like to get that first bird on the ground because that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the hunt. And it was a running bird, and it was kind of a challenging angle, and there was a couple whiffs over there, but we regrouped. We marched ahead.
You notice when they miss, they automatically look at their gun like there was something wrong with their gun.
I think there is.
If you notice that.
The challenge to pheasant hunting, Tom, is having enough excuses before you go out, already planned in your pocket, ready to roll.
Yeah. So I was ready to look at my gun.
Yeah, that's the first thing you got to do.
Right.
That
So,
is.
and I know you were kind of next to me, and that's the first thing. That's a very important thing when you're up and hunting with a guide. You want to be pretty close to him because he can get that dog over there in front of you, and like I did, I had that dog working in front of us.
Dogs were working great. I've never seen that before. It was really amazing, really impressive what you do with.
And
those
then the
dogs.
dog went on point, and it's like, okay, Tom, here the time has come, right?
It's about to go down.
And
right here.
everybody's standing there going to watch, right?
I know, I
It's
know.
like kind of like that audience, and
Yeah.
pressure's a little bit on.
So you said, get up there, and I didn't realize you had to get that close to the bird.
Well, you got to put it in the air. You got to make it want
Right,
to fly, right?
right. So did
And you
that.
did.
Bird flushes up. Safety off, and took a shot, and down it goes. And I actually, because I was ready to do this, I actually looked at my gun to see what was wrong with it. But the bird went down. One shot, one kill. Couldn't believe it.
And you're thinking, what the
What's-
hell?
right.
How hard is this, right?
That's
These
right.
guys have been hyping this up for 2 days,
Yeah,
and now, and first one kill, and the bird's down. But it was a great, fun, great way to start the
Yeah.
morning, especially with you getting that first bird,
Yeah,
because
that
that's
was
really
fun.
exciting. And what we hope we did was to, sink
Yeah,
that
you
hook
did.
as for you to be a future hunter.
Yeah, I
come
appreciate
back
it.
again.
I
So.
appreciate it. And
And
I will say that my shot to kill ratio went down dramatically after that first shot.
Though, if I remember, you made a couple. You got a little cocky. You got a little. It kind of went to your head a little
Yeah.
bit, and you did make there was a passing shot, if I remember.
Yeah.
It was kind of at he was up on top high, and he kind of came across all of us, and we talked about that shot, the day
Yeah.
before about. You got to lead that bird, and you did. But that was wonderful. It's always great. It's always great to see. Somebody new to the sport get that bird, because that's really special, and we documented that with a photograph that.
Awesome.
And for 1885, we can make sure we can frame that and we can send it out to you.
I bought a T-shirt.
Yes, you did. But and so I think to get some perspective and some background, Dave over here. Dave, kind of talk about the auction idea and getting together with Brett Bear and Fox and what you guys did.
No, yeah, it was kind of interesting, and thanks for having us. I mean, just a great opportunity to come out here and spend some time with you guys, Wade, and no, the thing came up. We maybe lean a little right in the company, just a wee bit, maybe me a little bit. But I was watching Fox News one night, and at the end of Brett Bear's podcast or his show, one of his guests wished him good luck on the auction, and so I kind of Googled that and found out that he was doing a fundraiser for the Children's National Hospital out of Washington D.C., where one of his sons was treated successfully for some heart issues, and so I started looking at it, and I went onto the auction site, and it was still off about 2 months, and I thought. One of the things that John and I decided when we started the company was we really wanted to find some organizations that we could get involved with, and partner with and kind of support. And so I sent a note out and said, hey, if you're still looking for unique auction items, and I really wasn't expecting a response. And about 10 minutes later, my email, I get this email from somebody, and they said, yeah, what do you have in mind? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and so that led to a conversation that night, which was kind of unique on the phone with somebody from Fox News, and I just said, hey, this could be kind of unique. Why don't we offer a guided hunt for the auction winner? And it just kind of started evolving. And as I was talking to John, we said, wow, that's really cool. And we've got this TV show. We've got Wade with Setter Tales and his team. What if we did something where we memorialize the hunt in a TV show or an episode of Unleashed Canine TV? And it just kind of blossomed into that. So it was, the winner's going to get a 2-day hunt, 3 nights at Highland Hideaway in Riverside here. And then it was, we'll have Wade guide the hunt. That'd be kind of unique. And wow, this would be kind of cool, but we've got some contacts in the DOD, Department of Defense, and some friends. And so we said, maybe we could get a couple special force guys to come out and be hunting partners. And so that leads us to where we are today. And really kind of neat. But raised a lot of money for the Children's National Hospital, which was really kind of exciting. And so we're going to memorialize this into an episode and send it off to the powers to be, and away we go.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and that's a great effort to do that. We like the charity things, and, you know, as you know, we've been involved with our dogs guiding hunts and, you know, donating to charity, but giving up our time and our dogs. We like to share that, our sport, but our dogs, and if we can do it to support veterans, law enforcement, or in this case, the Children's Hospital, you know, we just love doing that. And that kind of takes me to kind of a little bit of another topic that we want to get to, because we have a guest here tonight that just came in. And Thomas over here, many people don't know it because he doesn't make a big deal about it, but Thomas is very involved in mentoring youth in the shooting sports here in Iowa. And he takes on, you know, I know he's done a lot of bird hunts, and I think you did a turkey hunt. Did you do a deer hunt?
I did a rabbit hunt and a couple squirrel hunts. Turkeys, I can't do it myself. I would never take a kid turkey hunting because I'm terrible at it. So, but we've done about, I say once we add everything up with all the mentorship with outdoor mentors and everything, it's probably around 65 kids in the last 3 years. So, it's a big passion of mine, and I just enjoy sharing my dogs, and this is just kind of icing on the cake. I don't want a whole lot of recognition for it, but I appreciate
Well, we're going to give you some anyway.
Yeah.
So shut up. Now, Steph Lane
Hi.
is here with Pass It On Outdoors
Yep.
program, which is a program in Iowa and Kansas. Is it in some other states too right now?
Yep.
Why don't you explain a little bit about who
Iowa
you
and
are?
Kansas,
There you
and
go.
hopefully expanding out to, thank you, Missouri and some other states here soon. But I was a guest on the podcast
You were.
not too long ago,
Yeah,
and
our numbers blew up.
nice. And I'm the Iowa program coordinator with Pass It On Outdoor Mentors, and I plan hunts and fishing events for youth across the state of Iowa. And I coordinate with organizations and mentors like Thomas to get these kids out hunting. And Thomas was voted our Mentor of the Year for 2022.
Yeah.
And I actually knew that when I was on the podcast with you guys,
You kept that a surprise.
but I didn't have this in hand yet, so I wanted to give this to him.
So you want to make a presentation officially?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So congratulations,
Well, I appreciate it.
Thomas.
Thank you. Get a picture?
You want to take your own picture?
Here, I'll get one. Here you go.
Want me to stand up?
Yeah, you need
Well,
to stand up.
Yeah, show off that new shirt that you're wearing too while you do that.
Look at that.
Fantastic.
Oh,
lot taller than
somebody's
me.
got it. Okay. Cheese. There you go.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Steph, thanks for coming in. with
Yeah,
that.
thanks for
Appreciate it.
having me.
Thank you. Okay.
See, we need to get the younger people involved. You know, the fact that Tom Tassett came out and got his first bird at 64 years old. There's not a lot of years of hunting left in him, okay? So we're not trying to recruit 64-year-olds.
Yeah.
He's maybe got 2 years left.
Yeah.
Thanks,
well,
dude.
So thank you, Thomas, for getting the young people involved.
Yeah.
Good job.
You're getting young people, and I get these old guys that come with me.
No, that's terrific.
No, it's something that is a passion of mine. So I like using this kind of our podcast to kind of push that, because you know what Steph does is she's on the phone, she's emailing and calling, and you know, the first year they came to Iowa, Steph wasn't involved yet, and they were struggling pretty hard. COVID had hit, and you just weren't many mentors out there. So I did probably 3 or 4 during the COVID era, and then the next year, I think it was about every weekend we were out hunting. So it's good for the dogs. I didn't carry a gun, and I didn't really care to. It was just when you get a kid, they get their first bird. They work with a lot of the shooting sports. So I think it's somewhere in the 90% range of kids that are in trap shooting and shooting sports actually never go hunting.
Wow.
So I worked from kids all the way from 12 years old all the way to kids that were college age with a couple of the community colleges that have shooting sports programs, and I've I've never shot a bird. So places like Highland here really support that mission too, and that's why I love coming down here. Steph's got hunts down here all the time. I know she's starting to get the ball rolling a little bit and getting more mentors. So, if you're out there and you want to be a mentor, they sure appreciate you. Just got to pass a background check, and then they'll come right to you. I had kids driving them 4.5, 5 hours to come hunting. So I want to get really get that awareness out there, because there's got to be somewhere between where I am and where those kids were coming from, and so I know it's really getting pushed. They've had a ton. Jacob, Steph's boyfriend, and her do a lot of them together. He helps her out. They take them fishing. Jacob is a snow goose guide, and I know he's got a bunch of snow goose hunts set up for them. He's like one of the premier catfishers guys around, and he actually trolls for catfish, and he catches some monsters. So he really gets the kids into that as well. So if you're into doing some flatheads, he's really good at that. So
they say that our sport is just a generation away from not existing anymore. So being able to get kids into that, to get them involved with organizations like Pass It On, with volunteers like yourself, it's so important to get kids out of the basements, off of their game consoles, and actually out. Nature has so much to teach us. The shooting sports have so much to teach us, and hunting have so much to teach. Has so much to teach us. And it's always great to see folks like you who are giving their time to make sure that this sport, not just the sport, but the lifestyle and everything around it, continues on for generations to come, so we don't lose it.
yeah, and you and I were hunting today. We've never met, and just the interaction, the fellowship you get while you're hunting. And you can talk about, we talked about why I do what I do, why I like hunting, and and you asked that question, is what made you go to English setters? And I think I explained that too well at times. So, and it's just a good way for people to get to know each other, and that's how we've all met is through the dogs and the hunting, and 5 years ago, Wade and I didn't know who each other were, and saw their TV.
Did you tell them how we met?
How did we meet? I think I sent you a message on
No, you
Facebook.
brought a female dog down that you wanted to breed to
that's right.
major, and she was the meanest thing that ever existed, and you shell shocked the poor guy, and I'm not sure how he'll react to that, but
Has he bred since? Wade?
no,
I mean,
no, he has.
poor Major.
Not that I'm aware of.
He's forever traumatized.
She would have curled up with him on the couch, just not when no means no.
Okay, but anyway, hopefully it's enough time has passed that he's through that trauma in his lifetime and we can move on. But that's how we met, and it's kind of that setter, not just setters, but just that whole upland community. And what's kind of cool about the video series Setter Tales that we did pre-COVID was just the people that we met, and interacted with, and it even got us to Ireland, and Dave and his wife Debbie got the chance to go to Ireland with us, and my wife Patty and I, and some other friends, and it was not just the experience of seeing Ireland, because we always wanted to do that, but the fact that that the guys over there love their dogs like we love our dogs, and just to experience that, and what we saw happen over there. But I will say, today you came through.
Well,
Dave, you came through today like you did well today. You shot well today.
well, yeah,
After that first.
well,
one the other day,
I was trying to scare the bird towards Tom, so I was trying to vector that thing in to the left.
But the whole point, though, is just like Thomas mentioned, is just the people that you meet and the relationships that you build. You guys in the dog food business on that side, know how important that is, and those people that you meet that are saying, this is my family member, this is my dog, and it has a problem, or can you help me, get my dog healthier or whatever. And that's kind of the mission that you guys have taken on. And then through your media stuff that you're doing with Unleashed, and just letting people know what, and we'll talk about that with Carl, just what dogs are capable of doing. And it's just amazing, we see our upland dogs performing in the field on a daily basis, and we really, a lot of times just can't imagine that these dogs could do the things that they do. But then if you start looking with the wider lens like Carl has, and you start looking at the military dogs and law enforcement dogs, then you really understand that they're athletes. These dogs are athletes. And athletes, John, require what?
They require top-notch fuel and top-notch hydration when they're out there working. So
And wasn't that kind of what drew you to saying that we can build it better? We built it for our dogs.
yeah,
You
I
love
mean
it for
yeah,
yours?
that's kind of something we did. We did build it for our dogs. I mean, we were out here running around for the last couple of days, and your dogs are out there, and my dogs are out there, and they're running around hunting together, and you know, every business is a relationship business, undoubtedly. But when you bring the dogs into it, you know, and how people are attached to their dogs, the relationship becomes that much more important, because it's not, you know, if you go buy a shirt or something, you don't like the shirt, no big deal. You know, you may not be happy, you may get a different kind of shirt. Something goes wrong with your dog, you're going to be a lot more touched by it. So it's important, and people having a personal connection to you, but also to your dogs is what makes what you guys do so appealing, and also what makes what we do, you know, it's such a passion for us.
And I'm sure when you hear those stories of the results that people have received from, that's got to be the gratifying part of it, when you hear those stories about people that really gave up on their dogs and then got on your food and were able to turn things around. And so, but yeah, it's like I said, you know, we got to know you guys. I don't know, when did you start that? When did you start Kinetic, guys?
I think we probably started you with Sweet Lou. I remember you were having trouble keeping weight on him, and you know that was probably eight years ago, maybe 9 years ago.
Had to be, yeah. He was, yeah. He just,
And that wasn't too long after we started. I mean, we tested the product for a couple of years before we ever sold any, but that was probably pretty close to the start of when we went public.
Because I remember our discussions about, you know, his hunting style, which was, you know, full out
Range.
yeah, and his range, and how he kind of pursued his job, you know, all out. And over time, when you're guiding with a dog like that, the wear and tear that it takes, and we just could not keep weight on him. And I remember you said, well, he sounds like he might be, there's just a few dogs, but he might be a candidate for the 32.
Yep.
What's that? That's rocket fuel.
Yeah.
That is rocket
Octane,
fuel.
baby.
And we got him on that, and it really helped him maintain through that season. And then I think we kind of learned from the product and how to use it, how to drop down to the 30 and to the some lower levels. And then we kind of got on that. We learned, you know, what his nutritional needs were during the season as well in the off season, and that's an important part of it.
I remember the first time we went hunting together with both of our dogs, and I still have her. She's 10 years old, or almost 10 now. My lab, Libby, she decided she was going to go out and be a setter for the first 30, 45 minutes. So she was following Lou around the field, but yeah, that didn't last much longer, in about 30, 45 minutes, and she settled back into more lab type pattern while Lou was still racing around in these big old circles.
He had gas. He did have that. And of course, you guys got to hunt this week with the dog we call Duchess, who really is a chip off the block of the old man.
Big motor.
I mean, she's got a big motor as well. And I think I know that Tomas has a couple of those motor dogs, and I think the new rookie that we put out a little bit this week, Ruthie, a dog we call Ruthie, who belongs to my son Travis. I think she's got some wheels on her too, from what I can see. So she might be a candidate for that. But the fun thing is, guys, we really appreciate you taking the time to come to Highland. I know Ryan Giannini, who is the owner here, he had a meeting he had to go to, but you know, man, he has just like opened us up and welcomed us here, and the food has been amazing. And I don't know could you script it any better, except maybe this morning those 40-mile-an-hour winds, we might not have had that in the plan, but I know Carl, you know, and Carl will tell you, as when we were doing setter tails, and Will, our son, and a couple of other guys that were freelancing that would run the camera for us, you know, I remember when the concept was, let's do this upland show. You know, everybody's doing deer shows and all that. Why don't we do an upland show? Let people see what it's like, what these upland hunting dogs, these pointing dogs can do. How hard could that be, right? keep a dog on camera and get the right, yeah. So we quickly found that that's not the easiest task, and you know, luckily we had Carl out there for a couple days with his camera, and hopefully he got some good footage. I think he did.
Oh
but
yeah, absolutely.
What so I know you came from the deer background where you were, you know, filming deer shows, but how was that transition that you've had to make kind of to that upland world?
You know, it's all about telling a story, right? For me, and I met these guys. I don't know. I met Dave probably 10 years ago, and John just probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. And what I noticed there, just like, so I did outdoor TV for 15 years prior to this. And that was the same thing. It was just a story. And when I met these guys and I saw all the different things that they were doing. You know, they're working with with your English setters out here, pheasant hunting, and John with his labs, and then, you know, they might be out with a law enforcement team, you know, with police dogs or with the military dogs, or at a dock diving event, or I mean, all the things that we're doing with dogs, and I remember thinking, man, what a great story, because people don't know, they don't understand. Generally, people don't understand what you're doing with your dogs, what you guys are doing. I mean, the stuff that we saw with your setters and with Thomas's dogs this afternoon, people don't understand the commitment, the requirements, the training, the time, the money, everything, and really what it boils down to is the passion, right? The passion for that dog. And one of the things that's really interesting and unique to me about this show is that transcends disciplines. So you guys are just as passionate and driven for your dogs and what you do with your dogs as guys that are working with them every day. You know, guys like, you know, Ian Donovan, who you meet here in a little bit, or our law enforcement guys that, you know, go out and work with these working dogs. You have that same level of commitment and passion. And, you know, we say it in the intro to the show, there's 90 some million dogs in this country now, but only 500,000 of those really fit into this category of working or sporting dogs. The rest of them are couch potatoes. Now they're loved, and people love their couch potatoes as much as, you know, you love your dogs, but the level that you have taken it to, Thomas and I were talking about this, we were putting the dogs back in the box, and I remember saying, it's amazing to me, like, all you have to do is look at the back of a dog guy's truck, right? He's got a dog box back there, and there's vets, you know, there's medications, and there's, you know, collars, and there's GPS collars, and there's leashes, and there's dog food, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's all spurred on by the love of the dog, right? It's not for money or glory. It's because I love the dog. Thomas mentioned that I asked him, why English setters? Like, it's always interesting to me to know why somebody picks a breed. You know, John, why'd you pick labs? Why'd you pick English setters? And the love for the breed came through in his response to that, right? So that's what Unleashed is really, what we're trying to really push and to promote is, there's this whole culture of people out there across all kinds of disciplines that are doing some pretty incredible things with dogs. And these dogs are capable of doing so much for us, make our lives better, safer, more enjoyable. And at the same time, we want to expose people to the athletic ability and the need that they have for, these aren't your average dogs. And so Kinetic is you know, puts this show out there, and you know, those 500,000 dogs, I believe, and I'm sure these guys would agree with me, that the best of those 500,000 dogs are fueled by the best dog food available on the market. You can't feed those dogs the way you feed the couch potato dogs, and you know, I think when people see the requirements they have and, you know, what they can do, I think it makes sense. And we've got great response to the show. I'm really looking forward to putting this episode out. This will air later this season. We're in our third season, airing on the Pursuit channel. And of course, we also have some streaming alternatives there, Roku and Fire TV and that kind of thing. And if you love dogs, you'll love the show. We did a great episode last season on Sweet Lou.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to kind of carry that on with this show, showing some of his
Offspring.
progeny.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, that's like, we appreciated that because, you know, at the time we shot that, he was kind of on the, you know, he was going downhill pretty fast. He was 14 and he'd had a long, hard career. You know, that's kind of like the athlete, you know, there's the bumps and the bruises and the pain from all that athletic endeavor, but he still had the will and the desire even to the end, but, you know, finally his body wore out. But prior to that, you know, it was really great to kind of tell his story because, you know, that was one of those things that you never know, you know, and honestly, that's how we got him kind of hooked into the setter world is, you know, he was a dog that nobody wanted and he ended up in my driveway, and it's kind of a cool story. But so you never know. And that, you know, and that's what I always tell people is, you know, when they're looking at the litter and they say, well, which one of these do you think is going to be the best dog, Wade? And I say, you just don't know. They're all great, but there might be one or two in there that'll will get above the rest, but the only reason they will is because whoever decides to make them part of their family puts in the time and gives them the opportunity, like for our hunting dogs, to be on birds, to hunt. You know, hunting makes a hunting dog, and we probably have, you probably heard us say that before. But yeah, we really appreciate that segment on Lou,
Well,
because it kind of memorializes what you can.
And he had a great
do.
story. The reality is all of our dogs have great stories.
They do, yeah.
You know, and that's where we're hoping to step in to tell those stories. I mean, you know, CJ and oh man, I forgot. Gunner, CJ and Gunner, they've got great stories, right? And these are two totally different dogs. They're running, doing their own thing. They've got their stories. Lexi, Lucy, and Libby, they all have their, you know, stories. Dave's got a dog named Tangeray. She's got her own story, you know.
But Dave, what do they
How
all
do you
have?
yell that in the field?
But Dave, what do they all have in common? What do they all have in common?
2 limes.
Yeah.
You're right. They have heart, and you know, really, that's the whole thing. When you spend time with these dogs, and I'm not at the caliber of anybody sitting at this table or these tables, as far as training or you know, working with the dog, but I run that dog, and we have a lot of fun together, just going out and chasing bumpers, and you know, and the prey drive on that dog is incredible. And I was telling Tom this, we were coming out of the field yesterday, and he had never seen dogs work, and it's poetry in motion, watching these dogs interact, and different breeds honoring points of the lead dog or the dog that found the bird, but these dogs never stopped. And really what you kind of think about is all of those dogs that I've had in my past life that I never really understood the drive that was in that dog, you know. So we see people that will visit us at a booth or at a show and say, you know, I watched the episode that you guys did on dock dogs, and I signed up, and I'm doing that with my dog. And so just for people to kind of look at their dogs a little bit differently and say, hey, I wonder if they'll retrieve a Frisbee or a bumper, is really kind of cool. So
Yeah, that dock dog thing is something we've gotten a lot more into in the last couple of years. And the beauty of that is absolutely any dog can do it. We've seen, you know, little 3-pound terriers all the way up to 150-pound St. Bernards doing it. So if your dog's willing to jump, it doesn't matter what breed, what size, you know, like Dave said, did you ever really know what the drive was in your dog? Well, there's a lot of dogs out there that may not be working dogs or sporting dogs, but they got a lot of drive. And if you can figure out what that drive is, you can have a lot of fun with that dog and give them, you know, the best life that they can possibly have.
Yeah, you know, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. When we have children, you know, when they come of a certain age, we get them involved in all kinds of activities. We take them to t-ball and basketball, cheerleading, or, you know, whatever. And there's never been a better time for us to do that with our dogs. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, we've hunted behind some really, really fine hunting dogs this weekend. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be something else, right? Just something to get the dog engaged and to give them a purpose and to give them a way to fulfill that drive and to really live their best life. Because we all know it, they're just here for too short a time.
Yeah,
right?
they
Yeah.
are.
And if we can maximize that time in their life, I think we may even we'll see happier dogs, and maybe it'll extend their life a little bit longer because they have a purpose and something to do. And so, and you see that purpose and that drive and that fulfillment, I think, is probably a really good word across all the disciplines. People ask me all the time about the working dogs, right? The police dogs that are biting people in the field. And if you pay attention to that, if you see video of those dogs and you pay attention to what's going on there, that tail is moving 100 miles an hour, and they are having the time of their life. That bad guy or the guy in the bite suit or whatever it happens to be is just a giant squeaky toy.
Yeah.
And they love what they do. And I think we owe it to our dogs to give them that kind of life. And so we're trying really to, you know, we have a lot of goals for the show, but that's part and parcel of it. We have the best dog food on the market. We feed some of the best dogs on the planet, and we think people ought to hear that story and hopefully be inspired to do things with their dogs.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. You know, sometimes the perspective is because we see dogs all the time, and I'm still amazed a lot of days myself still after all these years. But it's always good to get a perspective of somebody that saw dogs work really for the first time. So what were your impressions, Tom, at first? I mean, what struck you about watching those dogs?
Number one, the energy that they have is incredible. Just to see them running back and forth, and you know, we're huffing and puffing, and well, I was, nobody else was, but to see them work back and forth, and when you first let them out of the truck, I think, well, they're just playing, you know, they're just playing, and then their nose goes down a little bit more, and I thought it was impressive your response, because you told me he's onto something. I'm like, he's still running around like a crazy dog, you know? And then he slows down and then goes into that point, and it was like a statue. It was so impressive. And then the second dog went into a point, but well behind the other one. What'd you call that, honoring the points?
Yes, yeah, an honor.
And to me, and I think you might feel this way a little bit too, to me, that's almost more impressive than the original point,
I've
because
always thought that.
that dog's right on the bird that it wants to get so bad. And you know, this one back here wants to get on the bird too, right?
Yeah.
But he's honoring, you know, first one in. I did notice that if that bird ran off a little bit, the honor point might jump up ahead
Well, you know,
every once in a while.
definitely
Not supposed to.
definitely
Not your dog.
No, definitely our Duchess dog would take any opportunity that she
Yeah.
can, which kind of was one of those things that happened out there yesterday, which was kind of fell into that. Because typically, you know, Major or the dogs we're hunting with will go on point, and you know, we had I think it was Ian's dog was on the bird, and you know, Major came up and honored, doing his thing. You know, he was doing what he was supposed to do, and Duchess is in the field, and typically she hears the beeper going off. We have you know, what we call beeper collars, which basically when the dog stops, the collar senses that the dog isn't moving, and it'll start a strobing kind of a beep sound, which is how you find your dog if they happen to be in heavy cover. But so that strobing is going off, and these dogs know what that strobing means.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it out there. Here they come, right?
Yeah.
And so Duchess, you know, knows that, okay, there's a bird over there. How did I miss one bird in my field? And so she typically would come in there. I'm kind of honoring, but if you get relocated, baby, you know, I'm gonna go buy Major, and I've seen her do it a lot. But on this particular bird on that terrace, if you recall, Ian walked in there, and I'm thinking, I know Duchess was to my right. I would expect her to be right here too, so we'd have three dogs in this situation. but she wasn't there. And I happened to glance to the right, and she was probably, about 20 yards kind of up the hill, and she was like lock solid. I mean, boom. And I remember saying, I think that bird has moved, and because otherwise Duchess would be down here. She's up there on the hill, and she was lock solid. And I think, Dave, you were in position. She was right in front of you.
Did
And
I get it?
Yes, you did. Yes, you called the shot. Well, no.
Oh,
not
yeah, I
really,
did
but
call
we-
that shot. Right.
But yeah, and I said, well, and sometimes, not very often, but sometimes I can be wrong about. But we talked about that, about reading the dog, and Thomas knows the same thing. From hunting certain dogs long enough, you kind of get to read what they're telling, what they're messaging you back through their tail movements or whatever. And so I'm pretty sure that Duchess was on a bird, or she would have been right on top of the action, and I was right. And that big old rooster bounced out of there, and Dave put him to rest. But,
Yes.
it was a nice shot because it was kind of a climbing in the wind. It was kind of a climbing shot. But that's the kind of thing that you see happen in all the hunters that I hunt with. Guys know their dogs, so you as a new hunter, I was able to say, okay, get ready. Well, why?
Yeah.
Well, just get ready. Be ready.
Yeah.
Because I see something in the dog and what they're doing that
Yeah.
maybe other people wouldn't pick up, and Thomas is the same. Thomas will say, okay, get ready here. So that's part of the guide thing, and part of hunting dogs that we love, and we just like to, like somebody like you that's seeing it for the first time, get you to enjoy it. I didn't carry a gun the last 2 days, and that didn't bother me a bit because my enjoyment is seeing you guys kind of get birds over my dog work, and Thomas is kind of the same way, except he still likes to shoot a lot. But yeah, and so great stuff. And I remember you kind of wanting to, you were kind of like a sponge there, like, give me some more information about this. Now,
Yeah.
what's going to happen when we do, X? Because I remember that first point. You were like, well, okay, so what do we do now? You get your ass in there. That's what you do.
I'm like, but there's a bird there.
Yeah, you're like, well, what if I can't find the bird? Trust me, he will find you. Cackle, cackle, cackle. But yeah, it was great fun, and we enjoy that. And a lot of times we get new people down here, and young, not too many 64-year-olds that are out for their first time, but God bless you for coming and giving it a try and experiencing it, and I hope that you're able to come back and do it again with us.
Well, apparently, according to Dave, I only have 4 more years of it, but I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, we had
two.
I thought he
Yeah,
was
it's actually two. It's probably obviously you don't listen.
And then I'll come out double time.
we had Ian here a little bit ago. Did he disappear on us again?
I
We
think
were
he
kind of
did.
wanting to.
I think he took a phone call.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe,
okay.
but,
So
Carl and I had kind of one of them situations today that we got up on top of the hill in field 5, what they call here, and the wind was blowing, and both dogs were on point, and we knew that bird was moving. So then, finally CJ, she's really cautious, so you really got to push her to leave a point. And so she comes around from the side of the wind, and Gunner comes up, and they meet right in the middle, and they slam together and both locked, and you couldn't slide a piece of paper between them. They were so close, and the bird did get up. They cornered that bird, but we did have that situation where we had lots of honors, and even one that both dogs are on the scent, and that bird actually walked around between the dogs past me, and we walked in there and kicking around. And these dogs are just locked harder than heck. And that bird got up to my left. And so we didn't even, I scared it from a long range, but, yeah, it's great getting with people and hunting with different people and showcasing our dogs. And I was telling Carl today, since I've switched to kinetic, I think I've had 2, maybe 3 weeks off this whole year since about the 3rd week in September. And these dogs are performing, they're staying healthy, and we went back to the truck. We were done, and I had the dogs at the truck, and next thing you know, they're 75 yards off. And, oh, we got a water break. We're out of here, and they're gone. Come on, we're done. And I think they did point on a bird that had run around, and we didn't go after it. But it's a testament to your guys' is your food and your passion to allow us to.
we talked about how, because you run GPS, and I'm trying to learn how to run GPS, but it's coming. Maybe next year I'll be more confident with it, but you've run it a lot. And, but what's interesting about the GPS stuff is the feedback you get. And, you know, and it shows you how far that dog went today in the field. And, you know, they're zigzagging and they're going back and forth. And you don't realize, though, if you drew a straight line on all that movement, how far that is. And, you know, I know the other day I ran that young dog for an hour and a half, and she went 7 miles in that hour and a half. And we got Ian. Ian Donovan has joined us at the table.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Hey,
And
Good to see you.
yeah, Ian's face is probably very familiar. He's done what 3 or 4 podcasts, I think, with us. He's done some dog training things for us on collar conditioning and other kind of dog things, and he's kind of a returning contributor, I think, to the podcast, and we love having him. And we really appreciate the fact that he was able to come up and join us for the last couple days.
Yeah. it's been a good time.
First off, you've got a long and distinguished military career, and we all appreciate and thank you for your service to the country and for helping keep us safe over all these years. But along with that military background was the canine, military canine side, is where a lot of your background and experience comes from. You want to just kind of give us a little quick synopsis on what kind of background you have and how that played a part in what we saw in the last 2 days when we were trying to
Yeah.
look at dogs and evaluate dogs?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, like Wade said, prior to the military, I did have gun dogs. You know, I had bird dogs, had hound dogs, had retrievers. So I was familiar with, you know, training those dogs in the field and mostly in obedience, kind of force fetched, trained retrieve, and just as a young guy, just hunting with dogs. Loved interacting with them. So when I joined the military, and I was in special operations, you know, on a team, the last trip I went on before I became a dog handler, you know, the dog was attached to our team. And I got to see some amazing things that those dogs could do for us on the field of battle. So it was kind of a no-brainer when I got back stateside. I started researching, you know, how I could take the skills that I had as a soldier and my knowledge of dogs and kind of go forward and hopefully become a little more lethal on the field of battle with this new asset, you know, the four-legged asset. So very, very quickly did my knowledge of hunting dogs in the field, you know, productive areas, what the wind does to odor, what the topography of the ground does to odor, right? In the field and on the field of battle, man, that all transitions and translates to the same, right? So got involved in the MPC, multi-purpose canine side of things and special operations, and our dogs would bite bad guys, they track bad guys, and they find bombs. Those are the 3 things that a multi-purpose canine does. And for us, our area of operation and our area of emphasis and responsibility was the Middle East, and a lot of it was finding IEDs or buried munitions, things that were there to hurt guys on our side. So we'd go before those guys and find those things and either bypass them or just keep the guys safe in front of us, right? So when it comes to that, you know, there's nothing different from a pointer or a setter in the field that we were in today, finding a bird as a Belgian Malinois or Dutch Shepherd, finding an IED in Syria, right? There's odor there. There's something that we're looking for. We're a team, right? So we have to work together. I want to put that dog in productive areas. I'm going to look at the wind. I'm going to look at the topography of the ground. And I'm going to understand my dog too. I'm going to be able to read my dog, see what signs he's giving me physically, just like we do in the field. Oh, that dog's birdie. This dog is coming into explosive odor, I can tell. I need to know that as soon as possible because just like I don't want a young dog, you know, blowing a bird, because I may know exactly where that bird could be based off of my knowledge of birds. I don't need that bomb dog, you know, rushing in to try and get as close as he can to source and final for his reward. So being able to read a dog for me became extremely important, life or death situation, right? So I kind of take that same intensity now that I experienced it in my job, and I try to correlate that to what I do in the field with a dog, because the better you can read your dog, the less time you're going to be wasting, and the more opportunities you're not going to miss, you know, to get that bird or to help the dog, you know, get where he needs to be as a bird dog, as a finished bird dog. So, yeah, that job in the military was a lot of fun, very rewarding. We did a lot of good things, but it really helped me to even be able to read dogs even that much better, because you screw it up out in the field with our dogs today, and sometimes you do. Sometimes you let the dogs screw it up themselves. Well, you can't do that in the other job.
No do-overs in the other job,
That's
right?
it. Yeah. So you get pretty good at it.
Today, this morning, late morning, we were kind of talking at the truck about a situation that you witnessed, and I think you were the only gunner up there. But tell us about that, how that situation in the fence that we talked about. You remember when the dogs were tracking birds?
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that I always preach to my handlers in the military, right, is trust your dog. He knows what's there. He's got the nose. Trust your dog. Trust your dog. Trust your dog. Even when you think that an enemy combatant could have never gone that way, or he didn't go that way, or that's not where he's hiding. Trust your dog, right? No matter how much you preach that, you still need to practice what you preach, right? So today, we're in the field and there are 3 dogs, 2 of yours and 1 of mine, and they go on point, and the bird was on the opposite side of a woven wire fence from the dogs, so they couldn't get to the bird. But he was in that fence line, and as I was approaching, another dog came in and flushed that bird, what I thought was the only bird there. So that bird flies off, and I figure, okay, that's it. I continue to go up there because the dogs aren't moving. The 3-pointer, the pointer and the 2 setters are just locked on. One of your dogs and my dog, in a panel of the woven wire fence, had both of their nose shoved in the same square of the woven wire fence.
Each one trying to get closer
Right,
than
trying
the
to
other
get
one?
closer and closer, and they're just jamming their faces in there. So I take a stick and I throw it, because I don't want to jump this old rusty barbed wire fence either. Take a stick and throw it, nothing. The dogs are still not moving. I take my dog, grab him by the collar, can try to move him on. He goes right back. So I say, all right, trust your dog. Jump the fence, go there, tromp around for 30 seconds, a step on the hen. She comes out, scares the heck out of me, obviously, because I don't think there's anything there. I'm convinced at this point that they're lying to me. And, as long as you're doing it, you still make mistakes. I made a golden one today. Trust your dog, man. It's good to have dogs like that that'll prove you wrong. Really
It's
is.
always surprising when that happens too. We had this Sunday, we had our guide outing down here, and my young male gunner, he's not even a year old, and as soon as I dumped him out of the truck, he went up over the hill, and I said, he's already on point, guys. So we walked down, 2 dogs run past him, didn't smell the bird, and we had 2 of the bird boys here at Highland with us, and they stomped around, and they go, oh, this dog don't have a bird. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Everybody's run around and stomped around there enough. So I grabbed him and moved him on, and next thing I know, I turn around and he's hightailing it back, and boom, right on point again. I said, get in there and dig around, boys. And they did, and he had a rooster, and luckily we got it harvested, and you could really tell today that he was a little more cautious on his birds. And I kind of liked seeing that. He may miss a point with this is a whole new scenario to him today. It was dry, it was windy, and he, he pinned a couple birds right away, did really well, and then a couple, you could see they were maybe up over the hill and the wind was blowing, but he was a little more cautious, and then towards the end, he just looked great. It's like they teach themselves as long as we stay with them and show them that we trust them, and just one bird down them makes a big difference, or even just flushing one. So
Well, and I think today one of the things that was really interesting was we talk a lot about the athletic ability and the physical abilities of these dogs, but I don't think we talk enough about the mental capacity that they have. Like these animals are natural problem solvers, and you could see that. I saw it with your dogs today. That was kind of like, okay, this isn't quite right. And they would get themselves into a position. You had your young pointer out, and it was the same thing. You wanted them to start putting all the pieces together, both of your pointers. And I mean, you've worked with all kinds of dogs, everything from the Beagle Hounds to the pointers to the Malinois and the Dutchies and all that kind of stuff. But I really think that one of the things that impresses me the most is the cognitive abilities, right? That it's not just go, 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 go. It's go with a purpose and Sometimes they'll drive you crazy and they'll
Yeah,
do boneheaded
sure.
things, but
Yeah.
they act like a toddler.
I think,
But
you- and I think Ian refers to that as work the problem, right? Solve the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that young dog and and every time you have them down and they experience something, they learn from it and they get
Sure.
better. And you talked about your young pointer had never really worked with other dogs in the field and how, and today you saw that transition
Yeah.
kind of happen.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something, it's great to have your own dogs and only hunt with them. But it's even more enjoyable for me to go out like I did these last few days and hunt with other dogs and get my dogs exposed to other dogs. In my opinion, if a dog's got an area covered, the other dog shouldn't go right up his butt, and kind of blow through that cover for him or with him. Choose another area that may be productive and hunt it within reason, right in front of us. And that's kind of the stuff that I saw today from that younger dog. He understood that dog's over there. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to look for a bird over here because this dog's probably got it covered over here. So it's cool. It's cool to see them start to put the pieces together. He just needs a lot more birds, but that's a good problem to have for me.
Independence
get 'em there.
is a hard thing to teach. It's a hard thing to train, and you hunt with a lot of people, and that's all they do is hunt with other people. So you do have them dogs, the Me Too dogs as they call it, and I like hunting them and teaching them. Have the older dogs they mirror them, you shape them up, and then you separate them, and then you can go back out, and these dogs are going to work. My dogs never really worked a bird today together. I run all four sometimes. It's the dumbest thing you can ever do, but they're never running together. But if one comes over the hill and somebody's on point, they know, okay, I got to stop and I got to honor this. And I told him, you said the cognitive thing. I said, watch that pup. I like him because he's a thinker. Okay, this bird was there. Okay, I think it moved, and he just sticks his nose up in the air and sniffs around, and he does it so slowly, and then he's like, boom, he's on it, and then he's off. So you like seeing them use their brains instead of just the brawn, because you got dogs who just run wild and run past a bird, and then, oh wait, I missed it. But yeah, that thinking thing is, that's something that when you go with bloodlines or you think, okay, this dog thinks a lot more, and that's what you want.
I mean, the only negative thing I saw in the last 2 days is Ian needs to start bringing setters with him too when he comes up. And he brought beagles and he brought a couple pointers, but he's got to get that setter in the box to bring that up here. Maybe we can do something about that. But we're kind of trying to wrap up a little bit here, fellas. But we had so much fun the last couple of days, and there's so many different things that happened and in the field as well as off the field with you guys, and we always have that kind of camaraderie and good stuff that happens every time you come to town, and we hope to do it again soon. And I guess the takeaway from this is that it all started to support a great cause, a great charity, but in doing that, we've really enriched each other just by getting together and being able to work dogs and just promote the sport that we all love. But we really appreciate your time and you guys coming.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
hopefully we have a law enforcement heroes hunt coming up this fall, and we've been discussing that. And so for anyone out there in the law enforcement background, retired and active, try to look at the Lynn County page for that coming up. And Kinetic is going to be here helping us promote that and put that on. And from what we talked about, that's going to be a pretty cool event. So
Yeah.
so
Very
stay tuned
exciting.
for that. And
One other thing.
again, thanks a lot.
We can't be remiss to the new Setter Tails
Yeah.
merch.
Yeah.
We'll put that up there, Iowa Upland Apparel on Facebook. You can order it. And, like I always say, Wade, today's a good day to say it. Keep their nose in the wind.
Take somebody hunting,
Even if they're 64.
even if they're 64.
There you go.